Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're diving into the intense environmental threats facing North Texas homes, and we're going to break down exactly what it takes for a roof to actually survive here. If you live around the Dallas metro area, specifically in Mesquite, you already know the weather here is absolutely no joke. It's not just about getting a little rain, it's about engineering your home to withstand a relentless barrage of elemental extremes. So today, we're going to look at the fascinating mechanics of how a roof holds up or completely fails under these brutal conditions. Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the Texas weather threat, the anatomy of roof failure, building to the code, the actual roof replacement process, and finally, how to navigate costs and contractors.
All right, diving right into Section 1, the Texas weather threat, nature's relentless assault on Mesquite.
To really understand what we're up against, we got to talk about the hidden heat factor. Summer temperatures on roofs here, they can easily exceed a blistering 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Think about that for a second. You could literally cook an egg on your shingles at that temperature. This intense, sustained heat just bakes the asphalt, causing rapid granule loss and prematurely aging the materials, which leaves the vulnerable decking underneath dangerously exposed. And, well, teaming up with that heat is the absolute other extreme, which is wind. We're talking wind shear and violent gust, especially if you're along Highway 80 or the I-635 corridors. They can hit 110 miles per hour. That is not just a heavy breeze blowing across your shingles, folks. That acts as a massive uplift force, literally trying to rip the roof right off your house. Moving on to Section 2, anatomy of roof failure, how extreme weather breaks down defenses. So, wind shear is a primary culprit here. It acts as this sudden, incredibly powerful shift in both wind direction and speed. And what it does is it actively breaks the sealant bonds that hold your shingles down. Once that bond is broken, the shingles start flapping and eventually they just tear completely off. It turns what was maybe a minor sealant failure into a massive leak pouring straight into your attic the very next time a thunderstorm rolls through. But beyond just the wind, we actually see this incredible domino effect of destruction. First, you've got hail pummeling ice chunks through the shingles, which cracks the sealant and bruises the mats. Then you throw in thermal expansion from our crazy extreme heat, which causes the metal flashing around chimneys to warp and separate, and yep, that lets water sneak right behind your walls. Oh, and you also have debris from mature oak trees trapping moisture in the roof's valleys, slowly rotting the metal from the outside in. And if that wasn't enough, the expanding clay soils we have all over North Texas actually shift your home's foundation. This creates stress points that can physically crack the roof planes right above you. Okay, Section 3, building to the code, engineering roofs for survival. So how do we defend against all that? Well, a standard bare minimum installation just isn't going to cut it anymore. A standard roof might use 4 nails per shingle and some basic wind-rated materials, but a Mesquite code installation completely beefs up that baseline. To actually survive out here, code requires 6 nails per shingle, and not just any nails, specifically ring shank nails placed on an 8-inch spacing for maximum grip. It also absolutely mandates ASTM D7158 Class H shingles. I know that sounds super technical, but it basically just means they are designed to resist 110 mile-per-hour winds. And finally, it requires specialized ice and water shields in all those vulnerable valleys and penetrations. And listen, doing it right like this isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's the law. City codes and your insurance carriers absolutely demand permitted, documented work. The city mandates these inspections, not just to keep you safe, but to actually validate your warranties and protect your home's resale value. Because trust me, the last thing you want is a bad roof derailing a future home sale. All right, on to Section 4, the roof replacement process, from disaster to defense. Now, if you actually need a replacement, the whole process is broken down into 3 really structured phases. First up is thorough inspection and planning, where experts come out, assess the damage, and make sure everything aligns perfectly with your insurance documents. Second is the actual installation and protection phase. This involves a complete tear-off all the way down to the decking, replacing any compromised wood, and rapidly installing that code-compliant system we just talked about. And finally, inspection and documentation. This step ensures strict municipal compliance and, most importantly, secures your warranties. And you might be thinking this takes weeks, but despite how massive an undertaking this is, the execution is surprisingly swift. A professional crew can completely transform your roof in just 2 to 3 days. Day 1, usually the morning, is entirely about safe tear-off and making sure your landscaping is protected. By day 3, the whole new system is basically in place, which really minimizes the amount of time your home's interior is exposed to the elements. Let's pivot to our last section, Section 5, navigating costs and contractors.
protecting your wallet.
So, when it comes down to pricing, your final quote is driven by so much more than just the size of your roof. Sure, square footage is the base multiplier, but pitch steepness plays a massive role. I mean, steeper angles require a lot more safety gear and significantly slow down the labor. Then you have the condition of your decking. Hidden damage from long-term wood rot, that is an invisible cost that almost always pops up mid-project. Plus, any intricate flashing work around complex valleys or skylights or chimneys requires really slow, precision craftsmanship.
Now, navigating these kinds of heavy costs, especially when things are chaotic right after a storm rolls through your neighborhood, brings up a really critical question. How do you quickly tell if a roofing contractor is lying to you? How do you separate the dedicated local professionals from the fly-by-night storm chasers?
Well, there are a few absolute non-negotiable red flags to watch out for. If a contractor hands you a vague estimate that doesn't list specific materials or square footage, or if they try to convince you that you somehow don't need a City of Mesquite permit, you need to walk away immediately. Literally just walk away. Same goes for anyone demanding full payment upfront, lacking a local physical business address, or using super high-pressure sales tactics to make you decide right that second after a storm.
And please remember this vital piece of advice straight from our source material. Do not ask them to waive your deductible, which is insurance fraud in Texas. Honestly, any contractor offering to waive your deductible is actively inviting you to commit a crime. Legitimate, code-compliant businesses are just not going to ask you to break the law to secure a contract.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on before the next severe weather season darkens the horizon. Take a look at your home and ask yourself, is your current roof truly engineered to survive these brutal extremes? Or is it just quietly waiting for the next storm to fail? Taking the time to understand these standards right now might just save your most valuable asset when the wind really starts howling. Thanks so much for exploring this topic with me, and hey, stay safe out there.